Commissioner Johannson, the situation in the Greek refugee camps is still catastrophic. Refugees have to sleep in tents. Winter is coming. People will be freezing. There's a pandemic. Is it a lack of European support, or is the Greek government not willing to offer humane conditions to those migrants?
No, we are doing a lot, both from the Commission and the Greek authorities and other member states. We have pledges now for more than 5,000 relocations from Greece to other member states. And we are now working on the winterization of the camp. And we're also working on moving people out of the island. So work is going on. Of course, they can't sleep in those tents during winter.
But the conditions in Moria have been catastrophic for a long time now. And there's been a lot of support from the European Union to the Greek government. There's been over 2 billion euros that have flown to Greece to manage the refugee crisis since 2015. But still there are these conditions in Greece. How are these conditions still acceptable today? Was it a lack of government action in the last months?
Well, I can say from the minute I took office on the 1st of December last year, we started to work on these unacceptable conditions in Moria and other camps on the Greek islands. When I took office, there were 25,000 migrants living in Moria and outside Moria on Lesbos. Now, when the fire broke out, we were down to 12,000, and now they are now down to about 9,000. That's still too many and still a lot of things to do, but we have been working on this since the first day I took office. And now we have designed a special task force to set up a good and proper facilities on Lesbos for the migrants to be the proper facilities, but also with schools and healthcare and everything that's needed. We can't accept that we have camps like Moria in European Union.
You say the situation in Moria is unacceptable. So can you promise that the situation will be better going into winter? Will there be housing for every refugee in Moria?
Well, this is, of course, the first priority. We can't let people sleep in tents during winter, so this is the highest priority right now.
But can you promise it?
Well, we are working together with the Greek authorities and also together with the member states that will do the relocation of refugees from Greece to other member states. And I'm quite optimistic that we can deal with this.
Greece is obviously carrying one of the main burden from the refugee situation all over Europe. It's also Italy that is facing a lot of burden. In your new proposal for an EU-wide migration and asylum policy, you don't even try to distribute all those refugees sitting in Greece and Italy all over Europe. Is that fair, or is it just a political compromise because countries like Hungary or Austria wouldn't accept the distribution of those refugees?
No, I've taken into account the situation we have right now. We are not in 2015 anymore. The situation today is that we have much fewer irregular arrivals to the European Union, and the majority of those irregular arrivals are not refugees, and they will have a negative asylum decision and a return decision. And I think it's not the right thing to relocate those that should be returned. Instead, I'm proposing what I call a return sponsorship, where other member states can help countries that are quite under pressure like Greece and Malta and Cyprus to either relocate those probably in need of international protection or helping by returning those not in need of international protection. I think it's important that we make a distinguish between those that are eligible to stay, that should be welcomed in our society, and those that are not eligible to stay, and they have to return.
Those return sponsorships, as you called them, are highly controversial. Austria and a lot of other countries are against that idea and think it would result in a relocation through the back door, as they would call it. Are the return sponsorships as a political idea not dead before they even started?
No, I don't think so. That is quite a positive approach, I should say, to our... This is an innovative proposal, and I think it really addresses the challenges that we have in the European Union right now. We have the majority of migrants that come to Europe come legally. Last year, more than 3 million people got a residence permit to work here, or because of family reason they will get married to a European citizen. And last year we had 140,000 irregular arrivals, and these are the ones that we need to manage much better. And also that we are failing, I should say, say, in returning. We are not as good as we should be in helping people to return to the country of origin. And that's what I'm addressing in my proposal. And I think it's necessary, actually, that those that are not eligible to stay, they have to return to the country of origin. And that's where all member states have to step in and help each other on this. And of course, the Commission will also be there to do a lot.
You say the European Union countries are failing when it comes to returning those migrants back to their home countries. Only 29% of people ordered to return last year were sent back to their actual home countries. Even if you double that number, it would not be nearly enough. Isn't it completely unrealistic that you can persuade the home countries of those migrants to take their people back?
No, it's not unrealistic at all. It's possible to have closer partnerships with third countries. And of course, we need to work with countries of origin in many different aspects to find a mutually beneficial situation where they also take back the citizens, but where also the European Commission should help and support these countries with their problems and also to manage migration. But I must also stress that I know that in many member states, there are a lot of room for improvement, if I put it like that, when it comes to how they deal with the return decisions and the return processes. So we can do much better also inside the European Union. And that's where I would like also to help member states to be better and more effective on their procedures and how their authorities work when it comes to return processes.
You would need to persuade third-party countries, mostly in Africa, maybe in Asia. There are ideas of some visa regulations that could be lifted. There's even talk of money. What would you expect that it would need to get those countries to take their people back?
I think you need to use all the tools that we have, and we need to tailor-made the proposals and the partnership according to which country it is. There are different needs and different problems to address, but that can be things like, of course, addressing root causes of migration, but also helping third countries in managing migration to set up proper system, helping with voluntary returns and reintegration, helping with border management, helping with fighting the human smugglers, of course, taking back their own citizens, and dealing with trade, with visa facilitation, and also other kind of support that we can give. So that will depend on which country it is. And I must say that I've heard this many times, that it would be so difficult to reach agreement with third countries. And of course, I'm not naive. Of course, sometimes it will be quite difficult to reach that. I know that. But that's not an argument why we should not really put a lot of emphasis to do that. And I think it's important if the European Commission and all the member states can talk with one voice, saying that migration is a really important issue for us when it comes to our relationship with third countries.
One of the key features of your plan is our fast decisions. In just 12 weeks, as you said, that would be half the time it currently takes in Germany, a third of the time it takes in your home country, in Sweden. And those are just the first decisions. Of course, those migrants can go to the courts. That would take even more time. Would it really be possible to get those decisions so fast? And if it would be possible, why aren't countries already doing it?
Well, first I must say that it's quite a room for improvement also how member states deal with their processes. They can be quicker in many member states, and it also depends on how much you facilitate the resources also for the asylum processes. Then when we look at the average time for an asylum process, it's not really the most important figure, because some individuals will take a longer time to process and others are easier to process, and that could be much quicker. And when we see what causes a long time for a process, it's a lot of time of waiting for your first interview, waiting for your second interview, waiting for the things to be processed. And I would like to put pressure on member states also to really speed up as far as possible when it comes to those cases that are coming from countries with a very low recognition rate that probably not in need of international protection. I think it's fair for people not leaving them in limbo for a long time without a decision, or rather trying to get a quick decision. Of course, taking into account that it has to be a fair process.
The Catholic Caritas said your plan could harm human rights, dilute legal safeguards and lead to more detentions. You're a social democrat. Is that plan in line with your political views of the world?
There is nothing in my proposal that will in any way infringe or harm fundamental rights. The opposite is that I'm really defending the fundamental rights. I'm defending the right to apply for asylum. I am proposing a new monitoring mechanism to make sure, independent monitoring mechanism, to make sure that pushbacks are not taking place. We are defending human rights with this proposal. I'm fully convinced with that.